The October rain hammered against the vaulted ceiling of Grand Central Terminal, creating a symphony of echoes that bounced off the marble walls. Emma Hayes stood on Platform 7, her charcoal blazer dampened at the shoulders, briefcase clutched tightly in her right hand. The 6:47 p.m. train to Westchester was delayed, again, and the platform had become a sea of frustrated commuters staring at their phones, their collective sighs merging with the rhythmic drumming of rain above. Emma checked her watch. 6:52 p.m. She had a presentation to finalize tonight, blueprints to review for the Morrison project, and a conference call with the Seattle office at 9 a.m. sharp. Her life was a carefully constructed timeline, each minute accounted for, each day flowing into the next with mechanical precision. That's how she liked it. Predictable, safe, controlled. She shifted her weight from one heel to the other, her eyes scanning the departure board when she felt it. A small, warm hand slipping into her left palm. Emma's breath caught. She looked down. A little girl, no more than 7 years old, stood beside her. Dark almond-shaped eyes stared up at Emma with an intensity that seemed far beyond her years. The child's black hair was pulled into 2 neat braids, and she wore a yellow raincoat with a small backpack shaped like a ladybug. But it wasn't her appearance that froze Emma in place. It was the recognition in those eyes, as if the girl had been searching for her through a crowded world and had finally found her. "Excuse me, sweetheart," Emma said gently, glancing around for a parent or guardian. "Are you lost? Where's your mom?" The girl didn't answer immediately. Instead, she squeezed Emma's hand tighter, her small fingers surprisingly strong. Then, rising on her tiptoes, she pulled Emma down slightly and whispered near her ear, her voice clear despite the chaos around them. "You were the wife." The words hit Emma like a physical blow. Her knees weakened, and the briefcase slipped from her grip, clattering against the concrete platform. The sounds of the station, the announcements, the footsteps, the conversations, all faded into a muffled blur. All she could hear was that small voice, repeating in her mind like an echo from a place she'd locked away 10 years ago. "Wait." Emma's voice cracked. "What did you say? How do you—" But when she looked up, the girl was gone, vanished into the crowd as if she'd never existed. Emma spun around, her heart pounding against her ribs, searching desperately through the mass of people. Yellow raincoat, ladybug backpack. Where did she go? "Miss, are you all right?" A middle-aged man in a business suit touched her shoulder, concern etched on his face. "Did you see her? The little girl? She was just—" Emma pointed vaguely, her hand trembling. "I didn't see anyone, sorry." The man picked up her briefcase and handed it to her. "The train's arriving. Platforms crowded." Emma took the briefcase mechanically, her mind reeling. The train's brakes screeched as it pulled into the station, and the crowd surged forward. She let herself be carried by the wave of commuters, boarding the train in a daze, finding a seat by the window. As the train pulled away from Grand Central, Emma pressed her forehead against the cold glass, watching the lights of Manhattan blur into streaks of gold and white. Her reflection stared back at her. 32 years old, shoulder-length auburn hair styled in professional waves, green eyes that once sparkled with dreams, now dulled by years of careful emotional management. "You were the wife." The words unlocked a door she'd spent a decade reinforcing. And behind that door lived Olivia Chen, the woman who'd taught her what love really meant, who'd made her believe in forever, and who'd shattered her so completely that Emma had rebuilt herself into someone who didn't believe in anything she couldn't measure, design, or control. If you're already feeling the weight of Emma's past pulling her back, hit that subscribe button. This journey is just beginning, and you won't want to miss where these whispered words will lead. Emma pulled out her phone with shaking hands and did something she hadn't done in 10 years. She typed Olivia Chen, New York into the search bar. The results loaded slowly, each second stretching into eternity. And then, there it was. An article from the New York Times, dated 3 weeks ago. Dr. Olivia Chen returns to NYC after decade of humanitarian work abroad. The accompanying photo showed Olivia, older but still breathtaking, standing outside Mount Sinai Hospital in scrubs, her black hair pulled back in a ponytail. But it was the small figure beside her that made Emma's heart stop. A little girl in a yellow raincoat, holding Olivia's hand. The train's automated voice announced her stop, but Emma couldn't move. She stared at the photo until the screen dimmed, her reflection superimposed over Olivia's face, past and present colliding in the glass. By the time she reached her apartment in Scarsdale, the rain had intensified into a full October storm. Emma stood in her minimalist living room. White walls, modern furniture, everything in its place, and felt the carefully constructed walls of her new life beginning to crack. She made chamomile tea she didn't drink, opened her laptop to work she couldn't focus on, and finally, at 11:47 p.m., she did the thing she swore she'd never do. She called her best friend, Marcus Chen, Olivia's older brother, the one person who'd maintained a fragile bridge between Emma's old life and her new one. "Emma?" Marcus's voice was thick with sleep. "Do you have any idea what time it is?" "She's back," Emma whispered. "Olivia's back in New York." A long pause. Then, "I know. She called me last week. You didn't tell me? You made me promise, Em. You said if she ever came back, you didn't want to know. You said, I met her daughter today." Emma's voice broke. "At Grand Central. She came up to me, Marcus, this little girl, and she said something. She said something she couldn't possibly know." "Maya." Marcus sighed. "Her name is Maya. Olivia adopted her 4 years ago in Syria. Why didn't you tell me Olivia had a child?" "Because you cut every thread connecting you to her. You moved, changed jobs, stopped coming to family dinners. You erased her, Emma, and I respected that choice." Emma sank onto her pristine white couch. The phone pressed against her ear. "What did Olivia tell you about why she left?" "Nothing. Even after all these years, she won't talk about it. Says it's in the past and needs to stay there." "But it's not in the past, Marcus. Not if her daughter somehow found me in a city of 8 million people and said—" Emma trailed off, unable to repeat the words. "Said what?" "It doesn't matter." Emma rubbed her temples, feeling a migraine building. "I need to see her." "Are you sure that's a good idea? 10 years is a long time. People change. You've both built new lives. Then why does it feel like I never left that day? Why does it feel like she's still here, in every room, in every—" Emma's voice cracked. "I need answers, Marcus. I need to know why she left, why she threw away everything we had." Another pause. "She's working at Mount Sinai now, in the emergency department. Day shifts, usually. But Emma, be careful. Whatever happened between you two, it destroyed both of you. I watched my sister become someone I barely recognized, and I watched you turn into this machine that goes through the motions of living without actually being alive." After hanging up, Emma sat in the darkness of her apartment, listening to the storm rage outside. Lightning illuminated the framed architectural prints on her walls. Buildings she'd designed, structures that would outlast her, monuments to a life spent constructing everything except the one thing that mattered. She walked to her bedroom closet and reached to the back of the top shelf, pulling down a shoebox she hadn't opened in years. Inside, wrapped in tissue paper, was a single photograph, the only one she'd kept. Emma and Olivia, 22 years old, standing on the Brooklyn Bridge at sunset. Olivia's arms wrapped around Emma's waist from behind, both of them laughing at something Marcus had said while taking the photo. The city stretched out behind them, full of promise and possibility, and they looked at the camera like they owned the world. Emma had been an architecture student at Columbia. Olivia had been in her second year of medical school at NYU. They'd met at a mutual friend's birthday party in a cramped East Village apartment, and Emma had known, from the moment Olivia smiled at her across a room full of strangers, that her life had just divided into before and after. They'd spent 3 years building a life together. A tiny apartment in Park Slope. Sunday morning farmers markets, late-night study sessions that turned into whispered conversations about the future. They'd talked about marriage, about children, about growing old together in a brownstone filled with books and laughter and love. And then, one Tuesday morning in March, Emma had woken up to an empty bed and a note on the kitchen counter. "I'm sorry. I can't explain. Please don't look for me. You deserve better than I can give you. I'll always love you, but I have to go. Oh." No phone calls, No emails, no explanation. Olivia had simply erased herself from Emma's life, and when Emma had tried to find her, Marcus had finally admitted that Olivia had accepted a position with Doctors Without Borders and had left the country. Emma had fallen apart. She'd finished her degree through sheer force of will, stopped going to places they'd loved, stopped listening to music they'd shared, stopped believing in anything that couldn't be proven with blueprints and calculations. Now, sitting on her bed with that photograph in her hands, Emma felt 10 years of carefully maintained numbness beginning to thaw. And with the thaw came pain, sharp, acute, undeniable. But beneath the pain, something else stirred, something that felt dangerously like hope. Mount Sinai Hospital rose against the Manhattan skyline like a monument to human fragility and resilience. Emma stood across the street on Madison Avenue, coffee growing cold in her hand, watching the entrance to the emergency department. She'd called in sick to work for the first time in 6 years. A lie that sat uncomfortably in her throat, but felt necessary nonetheless. It was 2:47 p.m. on a Thursday afternoon. The October sun struggled through a ceiling of gray clouds, casting the city in muted tones. Emma had been standing there for 43 minutes, trying to gather the courage to walk across the street. What would she say? "Hi, Olivia. Remember me? The person whose heart you shattered? Your daughter found me at a train station and said something cryptic, so I thought I'd drop by." "This is ridiculous," Emma muttered to herself, turning to leave for the third time in the past hour. "Emma?" The voice stopped her mid-stride, that voice, softer than she remembered, but unmistakable, carrying the same gentle cadence that used to whisper her name in the darkness of their shared bedroom. Emma turned slowly, her heart hammering against her ribs. Olivia Chen stood 5 feet away, wearing navy blue scrubs and a white coat, her hospital ID clipped to her pocket. At 32, she was even more beautiful than Emma remembered. Her features had matured, losing the softness of youth and gaining a strength forged through years of witnessing suffering and providing healing. Dark circles shadowed her eyes, evidence of long shifts and emotional burdens. But those eyes, deep brown and expressive, still held the same warmth that had made Emma fall in love a decade ago. Emma's carefully rehearsed words evaporated. "Hi. I wondered if you'd come." Olivia's voice was quiet, almost resigned. "After Maya told me about the station." "She told you?" Emma's surprise cut through her paralysis. "She said she talked to me? In detail. She described you perfectly, your hair, your green eyes, even the briefcase you were carrying." Olivia glanced back at the hospital entrance. "I have 20 minutes before my next shift. There's a coffee shop around the corner. Can we talk?" They walked in silence, the sounds of the city filling the space between them. Taxi horns, construction noise, the endless rhythm of New York life. The coffee shop was a small, independent place called Remedy, ironically named considering the circumstances. They found a corner booth away from the afternoon crowd. "Black coffee, no sugar," Olivia said to the waitress, then glanced at Emma. "You still drink?" "Cappuccino with cinnamon," Emma finished. "Some things don't change." The waitress left, and they sat across from each other, the small table feeling like an ocean. Olivia's hands rested on the worn wood surface, and Emma noticed she wore no rings, no wedding band, no jewelry, except for a simple watch. "How did you find me?" Olivia asked finally. "Marcus. After Maya. After what happened at Grand Central, I called him." Emma wrapped her hands around the cappuccino the waitress had brought, needing something to hold on to. "But the better question is, how did Maya find me? In a city of millions, how did your 7-year-old daughter walk up to a complete stranger and say—" Emma paused, the words still too strange to speak aloud. "You were the wife," Olivia finished quietly, her eyes dropping to her coffee. "She said that?" "Word for word. How would she know that, Olivia? How would she know anything about us?" Olivia was silent for a long moment, her fingers tracing the rim of her cup. When she finally looked up, her eyes were bright with unshed tears. "Because I told her about you. I've told her everything about you." The admission hit Emma like a physical blow. "You what?" "Maya asks about you constantly. She's been asking since she was 4 years old, since the day I adopted her. Where's Emma? When can I meet Emma? Does Emma still love you?" Olivia's voice cracked. I've shown her pictures, told her stories about our time together, about how we met, about the life we almost had. If you're feeling the intensity of this moment, make sure you're subscribed, because the truth Emma's about to discover will change everything she thought she knew. Emma felt her world tilting. I don't understand. You left me, Olivia. You walked away with a note and disappeared for 10 years. You don't get to tell your daughter stories about me like I was some fairy tale character. I know how it looks. How it looks. Emma's voice rose, drawing glances from other patrons. She lowered her voice but couldn't suppress the tremor of anger. You destroyed me. Do you have any idea what that year was like? I barely graduated. I stopped eating. I stopped sleeping. Marcus had to practically move in with me to make sure I didn't. She stopped, not wanting to admit how dark those days had been. I'm sorry. The words sounded inadequate, even as Olivia spoke them. I'm so sorry, Emma. If I could have done things differently. But you didn't. You made a choice. So tell me why. After 10 years, you owe me that much. Olivia looked at her hands, and Emma noticed how they trembled slightly. I was sick, she said finally. I was diagnosed with a rare autoimmune disorder in my second year of medical school. Progressive, potentially degenerative. The doctors gave me a prognosis that was uncertain. Emma's anger faltered. What? It's called mixed connective tissue disease. It affects multiple systems, joints, muscles, organs. The long-term outlook was unclear. I could have years of normal function, or I could progressively lose mobility, need constant care, face complications that... Olivia swallowed hard. I couldn't ask you to sign up for that. You were 22, Emma. You had your whole life ahead of you. A brilliant career waiting. I wasn't going to let you sacrifice everything to become my caretaker. That wasn't your choice to make. Emma's voice was sharp, but tears were streaming down her face. I loved you. We were supposed to face things together. I was trying to protect you. From what? From loving someone? From being there through the hard times? That's what love is, Olivia. Emma wiped at her tears angrily. You didn't protect me. You abandoned me. You took away my choice, my agency, my right to decide what I could handle. You treated me like I was too fragile to handle reality. The words hung between them, harsh and true. Olivia flinched as if she'd been struck. You're right, Olivia said quietly. I was wrong. I've spent 10 years knowing I was wrong, but by the time I realized it, too much time had passed. You'd moved on, built a new life. Marcus told me you were successful, happy, that you'd put me behind you. How could I come back after all that time and tear your life apart again? So why did you come back to New York? For Maya. Olivia's voice softened. She deserves stability, good schools, a real home. I've dragged her through war zones and refugee camps since she was 3 years old. She's seen things no child should see, experienced losses that... Olivia paused, composing herself. She needed a childhood, and I needed to come home. Emma studied the woman across from her, the one she'd loved so completely, the one she'd built a future around, the one who'd become a ghost, haunting every relationship she'd attempted since. The anger was still there, burning bright, but so was something else. Understanding, perhaps, or at least the beginning of it. Tell me about Maya, Emma said finally. How did you find her? Olivia's expression transformed, pain giving way to love. I was working in a field hospital outside Aleppo. The bombing had been relentless for weeks. One night, they brought in survivors from a collapsed building, mostly families. Maya's parents didn't make it. She was trapped in the rubble for 7 hours before we found her. 3 years old, terrified, covered in dust and blood, but alive. And you adopted her? Not right away. She stayed in the refugee camp for months. I checked on her every day, brought her food, sat with her. She didn't speak for the first 2 months. Trauma-induced selective mutism, but slowly she started to trust me, started to talk. And I realized I couldn't leave her there. Olivia's voice was fierce now, protective. She needed a parent, and I needed to save something. After watching so much death, so much destruction, I needed to prove that sometimes we can actually make a difference. Why does she know about me? Because you're the best thing that ever happened to me. And I wanted her to know that love like that exists, that it's real, even if I was too much of a coward to hold on to it. Olivia met Emma's eyes directly. I told her about the woman who made me believe in forever, about Sunday mornings making pancakes in our tiny kitchen, about how you'd leave little notes in my medical textbooks, about the night you proposed to me on the Staten Island ferry at sunset. Emma had forgotten about that, the proposal that never became a wedding. She'd carried her grandmother's ring in her pocket for 2 weeks before finally gathering the courage to ask. They'd been 24, too young by most standards. But Emma had never been more certain of anything in her life. What did you tell her about why we're not together? The truth. That I got scared and made the worst decision of my life. That I hurt the person I loved most because I thought I was protecting her. That sometimes people make mistakes so big they can't be fixed. Can't or won't? The question hung in the air between them. Olivia's phone buzzed, a text message. She glanced at it and sighed. I have to get back. Dr. Morrison covers for me during breaks, but there's a multi-car accident coming in. They stood, the conversation unfinished, but no longer avoided. Outside the coffee shop, the October sun had broken through the clouds, casting long shadows across Madison Avenue. Emma, Olivia said, her hand hovering near Emma's arm but not quite touching. I know I don't have the right to ask anything from you, but Maya, she's been so excited about the possibility of meeting you. She talks about you like you're already part of her life. Would you consider meeting her properly? Not at a train station, but really meeting her? Every rational part of Emma's brain screamed to say no, to walk away, protect herself, maintain the carefully constructed distance she'd built over 10 years. But she looked at Olivia, really looked at her, and saw not just the woman who'd broken her heart, but the woman who'd spent a decade in war zones trying to save strangers, who'd adopted a traumatized child and loved her enough to give up everything for her stability. I need time to think about it, Emma said finally. It's a lot. Of course, I understand. Olivia pulled a business card from her white coat pocket and handed it to Emma. Her hospital contact information was printed in neat letters, and on the back, she'd written a personal cell number. Call me when you're ready, or don't call. Either way, I'm glad I got to see you again, even if it was just to apologize. Emma took the card, her fingers brushing against Olivia's for just a moment. The first intentional touch in 10 years. The contact sent electricity through her arm, a reminder that her body remembered what her mind had tried to forget. She watched Olivia walk back toward the hospital, her white coat billowing slightly in the October breeze. Just before the entrance, Olivia turned back, raising her hand in a small wave. Emma didn't wave back, but she didn't look away either. That night, Emma sat at her drafting table in her home office, trying to focus on the Morrison Project blueprints. The building was a modern art museum in downtown Brooklyn. Sleek lines, innovative use of natural light, a structure designed to inspire and endure. But her pencil remained still, her mind replaying the conversation in the coffee shop. She pulled up her laptop and, after a moment's hesitation, searched for mixed connective tissue disease. The medical sites painted a complex picture, a rare autoimmune disorder that could affect joints, muscles, lungs, heart, kidneys. Treatment had improved significantly in recent years, but the prognosis varied widely. Some patients lived relatively normal lives with proper management, others faced serious complications. Emma thought about Olivia at 24, newly diagnosed, terrified, making what she thought was a noble sacrifice. She thought about her own reaction, anger, betrayal, devastation, and wondered if she would have made different choices had she known. Would she have stayed? Would she have insisted on facing it together? The honest answer was yes. She would have fought for them. And that's exactly what Olivia had been afraid of. Emma picked up her phone and stared at Olivia's contact information. Her thumb hovered over the call button, but she couldn't press it. Not yet. There was too much to process, too many feelings to untangle. Instead, she opened her photos and scrolled back, past years of professional achievements and surface-level friendships, until she found the folder she'd hidden but never deleted. Pictures of Olivia, pictures of them together. A life lived in images, frozen moments of a happiness she'd convinced herself was better left buried. But Maya had found her. A 7-year-old girl in a yellow raincoat had walked up to a stranger in a crowded train station and recognized her mother's lost love, and that meant something. Emma didn't know what yet, but it meant something. The Riverside Park joggers passed Emma's bench in waves, morning exercisers pursuing health, routine, normalcy. It was Saturday, 8:37 a.m., and the Hudson River reflected the October sun in fractured patterns of light. Emma watched the water, her third coffee of the morning growing cold in her hand, and tried to organize her thoughts like she would organize a complex architectural project. Problem. Former love returns after 10 years. Complication. Former love has a child who somehow recognized Emma. Additional complication. Emma's entire emotional infrastructure was built around never having to face this situation. Solution. Unknown. Her phone had been buzzing intermittently since 7 a.m. Marcus, checking in, her assistant at the firm, needing approval on something. And 3 times, an unknown number that Emma knew was Olivia. She'd spent the past 2 days reading everything she could find about mixed connective tissue disease, about international adoption procedures, about childhood trauma and attachment theory. She'd thrown herself into research the way she always did when emotions became too overwhelming, by intellectualizing them, breaking them down into manageable data points. But data couldn't explain the way her heart had stuttered when Olivia's fingers had brushed against hers. Research papers couldn't account for the dreams she'd been having, memories replaying in vivid detail, her subconscious undoing 10 years of careful suppression in just 2 nights. Mind if I sit? Emma looked up, startled. An elderly woman with silver hair and kind eyes stood beside the bench, a small terrier on a leash, sniffing around her feet. Of course. Emma moved her purse. The woman sat with a grateful sigh, and the terrier immediately investigated Emma's shoes. Beautiful morning. Though I remember when October in New York meant you needed a coat. Climate change, they say. Emma managed a small smile. Yes, it's warmer than usual. You look troubled, if you don't mind me saying. The woman adjusted her glasses. I've been coming to this bench for 32 years. Ever since my husband passed. You get good at reading people when you spend enough time watching them struggle with their thoughts. I'm fine. Just thinking about work. The woman didn't sound convinced. Work troubles have a different look. This is affairs of the heart. I've worn that expression myself. Despite herself, Emma let out a small laugh. Is it that obvious? Only to someone who's been there. The woman threw a small ball, and the terrier bounded after it. I met my Harold in 1953. I was 18, working at a diner in Queens. He came in every Tuesday for coffee and apple pie. Took him 6 months to work up the courage to ask me out. That's sweet. We had 42 years together. They weren't always easy. Harold had his demons, things he brought back from Korea that he couldn't talk about. But we figured it out. Communication, compromise, and a stubborn refusal to give up on each other. She smiled at the memory. The young people today, they give up too quickly. The minute something gets hard, they walk away. Love isn't supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be worth it. Emma felt tears prickling her eyes. What if someone walked away from you? What if they made that choice for both of you? The woman turned to look at Emma directly, her expression softening with understanding. That's a different kind of pain, isn't it? When the person you love decides they know what's best for you better than you do yourself. Yes. The word came out as barely more than a whisper. Did they walk away because they stopped loving you? No. She walked away because she thought she was protecting me. The woman nodded, unsurprised. Love is love, dear. The heart doesn't care about pronouns. She paused, watching the river. Protection is a form of love, even when it's misguided. The question is, can you forgive her for loving you badly, and can she forgive herself? Emma didn't have an answer. The terrier returned with the ball, and the woman stood with some effort. I come here every Saturday morning, same time. If you need someone to talk to who has no stake in your happiness except the vicarious pleasure of an old romantic, you know where to find me. After she left, Emma sat alone with those questions. Could she forgive Olivia? She'd been angry for so long. The anger had become a comfortable companion, a familiar weight. Letting it go felt dangerous, like removing a load-bearing wall without knowing what would collapse. Her phone buzzed again. This time she answered. "Emma, finally!" Marcus's relief was palpable. "I've been trying to reach you for 2 days. Olivia told me you met up. Are you okay?" "I don't know. Maybe, probably not." Emma watched a kayaker navigate the river's current. "She told me about the diagnosis. Why didn't you tell me?" "Patient confidentiality, even for family. And Olivia swore me to secrecy. She was so convinced she was doing the right thing," Marcus sighed. "I tried to talk her out of leaving. I told her you deserved to know, to make your own choices. But she was so scared, Em. I'd never seen her like that. Scared of what? Of being sick or of me seeing her sick?" "Both. Olivia's always been the strong one, the fixer, the caretaker. The idea of becoming dependent, of you having to sacrifice your dreams to take care of her, it went against everything she believed about herself. My dreams included her, I know. But she couldn't see that. All she could see was you throwing away your future for someone who might not have much of a future themselves." Marcus paused. "For what it's worth, the treatment has been effective. She manages the disease well. She's not the ticking time bomb she thought she was at 24. Emma absorbed this. "Tell me about Maya." Beyond what Olivia said, Maya is incredible. Smart, funny, resilient beyond her years, but she carries trauma, Emma. She has nightmares sometimes. She's terrified of loud noises, fireworks, construction, car backfires, and she's fixated on you. I don't know if Olivia told you, but Maya has a scrapbook with every photo Olivia has of you two together. She calls it her family book. We're not her family. Try telling her that. In Maya's mind, you and Olivia are her parents. She just hasn't met one of them yet." Marcus's tone turned serious. "Look, I'm not saying you owe Olivia anything. You don't. She made her choices and you've suffered for them. But Maya is an innocent in all of this. Whatever you decide about Olivia, think about what meeting Maya might mean for both of you." After hanging up, Emma made a decision. She pulled out her phone and dialed the number she'd been avoiding. Olivia answered on the second ring. "Emma?" "Hi." Emma's voice was steadier than she felt. "I've been thinking about what you asked, about meeting Maya. And I think I'd like to meet her. Properly, I mean, but I need you to understand something first. Anything. This doesn't mean I've forgiven you. This doesn't mean we're picking up where we left off. I'm doing this for Maya because she's a child who didn't ask for any of this. But you and I, Olivia, we have a lot to work through before there's any kind of we again, if there ever is. I understand. I'm not asking for forgiveness or second chances. I'm just grateful you're willing to meet her." Olivia's relief was audible. "How about tomorrow? Sunday afternoon? We could meet at Central Park, the conservatory garden. Maya loves it there. Neutral territory, public space. Whatever makes you comfortable. 2:00? 2:00. Emma, thank you." Emma hung up before Olivia could say more, before the emotion in her voice could break through Emma's carefully maintained defenses. Sunday arrived with unseasonably warm weather, 72 degrees and sunny, the kind of October day that felt like summer's last gift before winter's arrival. Emma changed outfits 4 times before settling on jeans and a simple green sweater that, she realized too late, Olivia had always said brought out her eyes. She arrived at the conservatory garden 10 minutes early, her architect's habit of always being punctual asserting itself. The garden was in its autumn glory. Chrysanthemums in deep reds and golds, the last roses clinging to their branches, leaves just beginning their transformation. Emma stood by the French-style garden, watching families stroll past, couples taking photos, children running along the paths. Her hands were sweating. She felt ridiculous, a 32-year-old successful architect, nervous about meeting a 7-year-old. "You came." Emma turned to find Olivia standing a few feet away, holding Maya's hand. The little girl wore the same yellow raincoat from the train station, though today she'd paired it with purple leggings and light-up sneakers. Her dark eyes studied Emma with the same intense recognition from their first encounter. "Hi." Emma said, her voice barely above a whisper. Maya pulled free from Olivia's hand and walked toward Emma with complete confidence, stopping directly in front of her. She tilted her head, studying Emma's face with disconcerting focus. "You're taller than I thought you'd be," Maya said finally. "Mama showed me pictures, but pictures don't show height very well." Despite her nerves, Emma smiled. "You're exactly as tall as I expected, though those light-up shoes probably add an inch." Maya looked down at her feet and stomped experimentally, making the lights flash. "They're my favorite. Mama says I can't wear them to school, but I wear them everywhere else." She looked back up at Emma. "Why did you stay away so long?" The question, delivered with such innocuous directness, hit Emma like a sledgehammer. She glanced at Olivia, who looked equally stunned. "Maya, honey, that's not," Olivia started. "It's okay." Emma knelt down so she was at eye level with Maya. "That's a fair question. The truth is, your mama and I had some grown-up problems a long time ago, and we stopped seeing each other. I didn't know about you until last week, or I would have wanted to meet you sooner. Mama says you were going to get married. Before the problems. We talked about it, yes. Do you still love her?" "Maya." Olivia's face had gone red. "We discussed this. You can't ask people such personal—" "Yes." The word came out before Emma could stop it, surprising herself as much as Olivia. "I do. Even when I was angry at her, even when I thought I'd moved on, I never stopped loving your mama. Love doesn't just go away because things get hard. If this moment is touching your heart, don't forget to subscribe and share this story, because sometimes love stories need witnesses. And Maya's journey to bring two hearts together is just beginning to unfold." Maya considered this, then nodded as if Emma had passed some internal test. "Good, because Mama cries sometimes when she looks at pictures of you. She thinks I don't notice, but I do. Adults think kids don't understand things, but we understand more than they think." Olivia looked like she wanted the ground to swallow her. Emma stood, her heart aching for this woman who'd suffered in silence, who'd carried love and regret across war zones and refugee camps. "How about we walk?" Emma suggested, offering her hand to Maya. "You can tell me about school, your friends, what you like to do, and maybe show me your favorite spots in the garden." Maya took Emma's hand without hesitation, her small fingers wrapping around Emma's with trusting confidence. As they walked, Maya chattered about her second-grade class at PS 321, her best friend Sophia, her art teacher who let her use the good watercolors, and her ongoing campaign to convince Olivia to get a dog. Olivia followed a few steps behind, and Emma could feel her gaze, a weight between her shoulder blades, heavy with hope and fear and unspoken words. They ended up at the northern end of the garden, where a small fountain bubbled peacefully. Maya immediately climbed onto the fountain's edge, balancing carefully while Emma and Olivia stood on either side, ready to catch her if she slipped. "I like you," Maya announced to Emma. "You're nice. And you don't talk to me like I'm a baby. Some grown-ups do that. Use weird voices and small words. It's annoying." "I'll remember that," Emma said solemnly. "No baby talk. And you're pretty." "Mama said you were pretty, but pretty is subjective, so I had to judge for myself." "You are, though. Pretty." "Thank you. So are you." "I know." Maya said it without arrogance, just simple confidence. "I have Mama's eyes and my birth mother's smile. Mama told me that. She said I'm made of two different kinds of love." Emma's throat tightened. She looked at Olivia, who was watching Maya with such profound tenderness that Emma had to look away. "Maya, honey, why don't you go look at the flowers over there?" Olivia suggested gently. "The chrysanthemums. Count how many different colors there are." Maya hopped down from the fountain's edge. "You want to talk about grown-up things without me hearing." "That's okay. I'll count slow." She skipped toward the flower beds, her light-up shoes flashing with each step. Alone, Emma and Olivia stood by the fountain, the sound of running water filling the silence between them. "She's remarkable," Emma said finally. "You've done an amazing job with her." "She did most of the job herself. I just provided structure and stability." Olivia watched Maya crouch by the flowers, her small hands gentle as she touched the petals. "Emma, what you said before. Did you mean it? Which part?" "About still loving me." Emma wanted to take it back, to rebuild her walls, to protect herself. But watching Maya, this child who carried her own trauma with such grace, who'd been brave enough to approach a stranger in a train station because she believed in the power of lost love, Emma found she couldn't lie. Yes, I meant it. I hate that I mean it. I've spent 10 years trying not to mean it. But some truths persist, despite our best efforts to bury them. Olivia turned to face her fully, and Emma saw tears streaming down her face. I've loved you every day for 10 years. Every single day. Through Syria, Yemen, South Sudan, through every broken body I tried to save, every child I held while they cried for parents who weren't coming back, you were there. In my head, in my heart, in every decision I made. Then why? Emma's voice broke. Why didn't you come back? Why didn't you call, write, something? Because I was ashamed. Because the longer I stayed away, the more impossible it seemed to come back. Because I convinced myself you were better off without me. Olivia wiped at her tears with the back of her hand. And because I didn't think I deserved forgiveness. I didn't think I deserved you. You don't get to decide what I deserve, Olivia. You don't get to make yourself into a martyr and call it love. I know. I know that now. Therapy has made that very clear. Olivia managed a weak smile. $1,500 of therapy bills from sessions in 6 different countries. I did therapy too. 4 years of it. Emma watched Maya, who was now arranging fallen leaves into patterns on the ground. My therapist said I had abandonment issues and trust problems. Imagine that. Emma, I don't expect forgiveness. I don't expect second chances. But I need you to know, leaving you was the worst mistake of my life. Not because of what it cost me, but because of what it cost you. Because I took away your choice, your agency, your right to love me through the hard times. I robbed you of that, and I'm sorrier than words can express. Emma felt something shift inside her chest. Not forgiveness, not yet, but perhaps the beginning of understanding. The disease. How are you managing it? Daily medication, regular checkups, some lifestyle modifications. I have good days and bad days. Some mornings my joints ache. Sometimes I get fatigued more easily. But I'm functional, Emma. I work full-time at the hospital. I parent Maya. I have a life. Olivia's voice turned fierce. I'm not the tragic figure I thought I'd become at 24. I'm just someone living with a chronic condition, like millions of other people. And if I had known, if you'd told me instead of leaving, then you would have stayed, and we would have figured it out together. And I would have had 10 years with you instead of 10 years of regret. Olivia looked at her directly. I can't undo what I did. I can't give us back that decade. But if you're willing, if you can find it in yourself to give me even just friendship, I promise I'll never make decisions for us again. Whatever happens, whatever challenges come, we face them together, or not at all. That's my vow to you, even if it's 10 years too late. Maya came running back, her hands full of fallen leaves. Mama, Emma, look, I found red ones and yellow ones and orange ones and even some that are still green. Can we press them in a book when we get home? Of course, sweetheart. Olivia's voice was thick with emotion, but she smiled at her daughter. Emma, do you want to come with us? Maya looked up with hopeful eyes. We could get hot chocolate at that place by the park entrance, the one with the marshmallows shaped like bears. Emma looked at Maya, then at Olivia, then back at this child who'd somehow become the bridge between past and present. I'd like that, Emma said. Hot chocolate sounds perfect. As they walked toward the park entrance, Maya between them swinging their hands, Emma felt the first small crack in the wall she'd built around her heart. It wasn't forgiveness yet. It wasn't reconciliation, but it was possibility. And for now, that was enough. The architectural firm of Hayes and Morrison occupied the 23rd floor of a glass tower in downtown Manhattan, with floor-to-ceiling windows that offered views of the city that never stopped building, never stopped reaching upward. Emma stood at those windows now, coffee in hand, watching the sunrise paint the skyline in shades of amber and rose. It had been 3 weeks since the meeting in Central Park. 3 weeks of carefully negotiated boundaries and tentative reconnection. Maya had become a regular presence in Emma's life. Saturday morning breakfasts at a diner in Park Slope, Wednesday afternoon pickups from school when Olivia's shifts ran long, FaceTime calls where Maya showed Emma her latest drawings and school projects. But Olivia remained at a careful distance, giving Emma space, respecting the walls that still stood between them. They were cordial when they interacted, friendly even, but they danced around the deeper conversations, the unresolved feelings that hung in the air like humidity before a storm. "You're here early." Emma turned to find her business partner, Jennifer Morrison, entering the office with her usual Monday morning armful of coffee and bagels. Jennifer was 53, sharp-eyed and sharper-tongued, and had been Emma's mentor since Emma joined the firm 8 years ago as a junior architect. "Couldn't sleep," Emma admitted, accepting the coffee Jennifer offered. "The museum project?" "Among other things." Jennifer settled into the chair across from Emma's desk, studying her with the perceptiveness that made her both an excellent architect and occasionally annoying friend. "You've been distracted lately. Not bad distracted. You're still producing brilliant work, but different, softer maybe, more present." "I'm not sure softer is a compliment in architecture. In architecture, no. In life, absolutely." Jennifer bit into her bagel. "Want to talk about it?" Emma considered. She'd kept her personal life meticulously separate from her professional one for years, but Jennifer had been there during the aftermath of Olivia's departure, had witnessed Emma's transformation from heartbroken to hardened, and had never pressed for details beyond what Emma volunteered. "Someone from my past came back," Emma said finally. "Someone I thought I'd never see again." "The medical student." Emma's surprise must have shown on her face because Jennifer smiled. "Marcus Chen is my financial advisor. He's mentioned his sister over the years, and I'm not an idiot. The timing of her departure and your shutdown was pretty obvious. She has a daughter now, 7 years old, adopted from Syria, smart, funny, completely fearless. And how do you feel about this situation?" Emma set down her coffee and moved to the windows, watching the city wake up below, terrified, angry, confused. But also, she paused, searching for the right word. "Alive. For the first time in years, I feel like I'm actually living instead of just existing. That's not a small thing, Emma. You've been going through the motions for a long time. Successful motions, productive motions, but motions nonetheless. What if I let her back in and she leaves again? What if I open up that door and everything I've built comes crashing down?" Jennifer joined her at the window. "What if you don't, and you spend the rest of your life wondering what might have been? You're an architect, Emma. You understand better than most that some structures need to be torn down before you can build something better." Before Emma could respond, her phone buzzed with a text from Maya. "Mama's birthday is Friday. Can you help me plan a surprise? Secret mission." Emma couldn't help but smile. Maya's texts always came with an abundance of exclamation points and emojis, her messages bursting with enthusiasm that reminded Emma of what it felt like to be young and unguarded. "The daughter?" Jennifer guessed, seeing Emma's expression. "She wants help planning a surprise birthday party for Olivia." "And are you going to help?" Emma texted back. "I'm in." "What's the plan, Agent Maya?" The response was immediate. "Operation Birthday Surprise begins now. Meet me after school, 3:15 at the playground. Bring spy sunglasses if you have them." Jennifer laughed, reading over Emma's shoulder. "I like this kid already. Go. The Morrison project can wait a few hours. Some things are more important than blueprints." That afternoon, Emma found herself at the PS 321 playground wearing aviator sunglasses and trying to keep a straight face, while Maya, also wearing sunglasses she'd clearly borrowed from Olivia, explained her covert operation plans. "So Mama thinks I'm going to Sophia's house Friday after school," Maya whispered dramatically, even though they were alone on the swings. "But actually, Sophia's mom is going to help us set up decorations at the apartment. Uncle Marcus is bringing the cake, chocolate with raspberry filling because that's Mama's favorite. And I made her a present at school, but it's in my locker so she can't find it." "This sounds very well planned," Emma said seriously. "What's my role in this operation?" "You have the most important job." Maya's expression turned solemn. "You have to keep Mama busy from 3 to 5 o'clock. Take her somewhere. Anywhere. Just not home." "Maya, I'm not sure your Mama wants to spend her birthday afternoon with me." "She does, though." Maya's certainty was absolute. "She talks about you all the time. Emma would love this museum exhibit. Emma would find this article interesting. Remember when Emma and I went to that restaurant? It's like you're already there, except you're not. The observation was so astute, so painfully accurate, that Emma felt it like a physical touch. Okay, I'll keep her busy. But you need to make sure she actually agrees to come with me. I can't just kidnap your mother. Leave that to me. Maya's grin was pure mischief. Friday arrived with cold rain and gray skies, the kind of November day that made summer feel like a distant memory. Emma was in the middle of a project review meeting when her phone buzzed with a call from Olivia. Emma, I'm sorry to bother you at work, but Maya insists I need to talk to you. She won't tell me why. Just keep saying it's important. Olivia sounded bemused and slightly exasperated. Put her on. Emma. Maya's voice came through the phone in an excited whisper. Mama's taking her lunch break at 3 p.m. She thinks she's meeting Uncle Marcus for birthday coffee, but he's going to cancel at the last minute. That's when you swoop in. Be at the coffee shop across from Mount Sinai at 3:15. Can you do it? You're a criminal mastermind, you know that? I prefer strategic planner. Maya's satisfaction was evident. See you at the party. Don't forget your part. At 3:10 p.m., Emma stood outside Remedy Coffee Shop, the same place where she and Olivia had talked 3 weeks ago. She'd left work early, changed into a deep blue dress that Maya had helped her pick out via FaceTime. Mama loves blue and it matches your eyes. And now she waited in the cold rain with a growing sense of nervousness. Olivia arrived at 3:12, umbrella in hand, looking confused when she spotted Emma instead of Marcus. Emma, what are you doing here? Marcus had to cancel. Work emergency. He asked me to cover his shift in the making sure Olivia doesn't spend her birthday alone rotation. Emma smiled, hoping her nervousness didn't show. Happy birthday, by the way. Marcus asked you to. Olivia's expression shifted from confusion to suspicion to understanding. Maya put you up to this. Your daughter is terrifyingly good at covert operations. I'm genuinely concerned about her teenage years. Despite herself, Olivia laughed. A real, genuine laugh that reminded Emma of Sunday mornings years ago, of laughter over burnt pancakes and terrible coffee. She's been acting strange all week. I should have known she was planning something. Well, you're stuck with me for at least 2 hours. Maya was very specific about timing. So where would you like to go? Olivia considered, rain drumming on her umbrella. There's a photography exhibit at the MoMA. Lee Miller, she was a war photographer, documented everything from fashion to combat. I've been wanting to see it, but it felt too self-indulgent to go alone on my birthday. Then we'll go. Nothing self-indulgent about art appreciation. They caught a cab to the Museum of Modern Art, sharing the umbrella on the way in, their shoulders touching in the confined space. Emma tried not to notice how natural it felt, how her body remembered the geometry of standing close to Olivia, the way they'd always fit together. The Lee Miller exhibit was stunning and haunting. Images of beauty and war, fashion models and concentration camps, the full spectrum of human experience captured through an unflinching lens. They moved through the galleries in comfortable silence, occasionally stopping to read captions or discuss a particular photograph. She was fearless, Olivia said softly, standing before a photograph Miller had taken of herself in Hitler's bathtub in Munich, 1945. A symbolic defiance captured on film. She went where the story was, no matter how dangerous. Is that why you did it? Emma asked. The humanitarian work? The war zones? Partly. Olivia moved to the next photograph. But mostly because I was running. From what I'd done to you. From my diagnosis. From myself. Throwing myself into crisis situations where I could be useful. It was easier than facing the wreckage I'd left behind. And now? Now I'm trying to stand still. Trying to build instead of run. It's harder than you'd think. They continued through the exhibit, and Emma found herself studying Olivia as much as the photographs. The lines around her eyes spoke of years spent squinting in desert sun. Her hands, when she gestured at an image, bore small scars from work in field hospitals. She'd lived a whole life that Emma knew nothing about, had become someone new while Emma had been frozen in the amber of their shared past. Can I ask you something? Olivia said, as they stood before one of Miller's last photographs. A portrait taken in England showing an older woman with eyes that had seen too much. Why did you agree to this? To see me today, I mean. You don't owe me anything, Emma. Especially not your time on my birthday. Emma considered the question, watching gallery visitors flow around them like water around stones. Honestly? For Maya. She asked, and I can't seem to say no to her. That kid has some kind of power over me. She has that effect on people. Olivia smiled, but sadness tinged it. So, this is just for Maya? Nothing more? I didn't say that. Emma turned to face Olivia fully. But I don't know what it is yet. I'm still angry, Olivia. I'm still hurt. But I'm also... She paused, searching for honesty. I'm also tired of living in the past. Of letting what happened 10 years ago define every choice I make now. Maybe helping Maya plan her surprise party is just about being kind to a sweet kid. Or maybe it's about allowing myself to imagine a future that includes you both. I don't know yet. That's fair. Olivia checked her watch. We should probably head back soon. Maya's timing was very specific. And I'm starting to suspect there's a reason for that. If you're invested in seeing where Emma and Olivia's story goes, hit subscribe. Because what happens at Maya's surprise party will change everything. They caught another cab back to Olivia's apartment in Park Slope, a modest 2-bedroom in a brownstone near Prospect Park. As they climbed the stairs, Emma could hear whispered voices and muffled giggles from inside. They're not even trying to be quiet, Olivia said, amused. She's 7. Covert operations have their limits. Olivia unlocked the door, and immediately the apartment erupted with noise. Surprise! Maya, Marcus, Sophia, and her mother, and several other parents and children Emma didn't recognize crowded the small living room. Streamers hung from the ceiling in purple and silver, Olivia's favorite colors, apparently. A banner reading, "Happy Birthday, Mama," hung slightly crooked over the bookshelf. And in the center of it all, on the coffee table, sat a chocolate cake with raspberry filling, decorated with somewhat lopsided frosting flowers that Maya had clearly helped create. Oh my God! Olivia's hand went to her mouth, tears immediately streaming down her face. Maya, you did all this? Emma helped. Maya ran forward, wrapping her arms around Olivia's waist. Did we surprise you? Were you surprised? Completely surprised, totally shocked. Olivia hugged her daughter tight, then looked over Maya's head at Emma. Thank you, she mouthed silently. Emma nodded, feeling a warmth in her chest that had nothing to do with the crowded apartment or the radiator hissing in the corner. The party was chaotic and joyful. Children running around, adults talking over each other, Maya presiding over the cake cutting with the authority of a master of ceremonies. Marcus pulled Emma aside at one point, his expression serious. She's been different since you came back into her life, he said quietly, nodding toward Olivia, who was laughing at something Sophia's mother had said. Lighter. More like the sister I remember before everything happened. I am not back in her life, not the way you mean. Maybe not yet. But Emma, I've known you for over a decade. I watched you fall in love with my sister, and I watched that love hollow you out when she left. If you're doing this, letting yourself be part of their world, you need to be sure. Because if you walk away now, it won't just be Olivia you're leaving. Maya's already attached to you, I know. Emma watched Maya show Olivia the present she'd made at school, a painted ceramic dish shaped like a heart. Slightly lopsided, but made with obvious love. I'm not planning to walk away, but I'm also not ready to promise forever. Not yet. That's fair. Just be gentle with both of them. They've both lost enough. As the party wound down and guests departed, Emma found herself helping clean up, collecting paper plates and empty cups. It felt domestic and natural, being in Olivia's space, seeing how she'd decorated, lots of books, photos of Maya, a few paintings that looked like they'd been purchased at markets overseas, understanding the life she'd built. Maya, exhausted from excitement and sugar, had fallen asleep on the couch, curled up with her head on a pillow. Olivia covered her gently with a blanket, then turned to Emma. Thank you for today, for the distraction, for playing along with Maya's schemes, for being here. It was a good party. Maya did an excellent job planning it. She had help from a very good co-conspirator. Olivia walked Emma to the door, their footsteps quiet on the hardwood floor. Emma, I know you're not ready for promises or commitments, but I want you to know that having you here today, in my home, celebrating with my daughter, it meant everything. You fit here, like you've always belonged. Emma wanted to argue, to maintain her distance, to protect herself, but standing in the doorway of Olivia's apartment, with the sounds of the city filtering in from outside, and the warmth of the party still lingering in the air, she found she couldn't. I should go. Early meeting tomorrow. Of course. Olivia opened the door, cold November air rushing in. Drive safe. Emma made it halfway down the stairs before she stopped, before she turned around, before she climbed back up and knocked softly on the door. Olivia opened it, surprise evident on her face. I can't promise you anything, Emma said quietly. I can't promise that I'll forgive you, or that we'll find our way back to what we had. But I can promise that I'll try, that I'll show up, keep showing up, and see where this goes. Olivia's smile was radiant, breaking through years of carefully maintained composure. That's more than I dared to hope for. Don't make me regret this. I won't. I swear, Emma, I won't. Emma nodded, then turned and left before she could say anything else, before she could make promises her heart wasn't ready to keep. But as she drove home through the dark Brooklyn streets, she found herself smiling, a real smile, unreserved and genuine, the kind she hadn't felt in years. Maybe Jennifer was right. Maybe some structures needed to be torn down before you could build something better. And maybe, just maybe, she and Olivia could build something new from the rubble of what they'd lost. December in New York arrived with the kind of cold that made Emma's bones ache. She stood in front of the Morrison Museum project site in downtown Brooklyn, watching construction crews pour the foundation. This was always her favorite part, the beginning, when everything was still potential, when the blueprint in her head could still become reality. Her phone buzzed with a text from Maya. Movie night tonight. Mama says you can pick the movie. Nothing scary, though. I have school tomorrow. Movie nights had become a weekly tradition over the past month. Wednesday evenings at Olivia's apartment, the three of them crowded on the couch with popcorn and hot chocolate. Maya wedged between them, providing running commentary on whatever film they watched. Last week, it had been Moana. The week before, Coco. Maya had cried during both, and Emma had found herself crying too, moved by stories about family and memory and love that persists beyond all obstacles. Things with Olivia had evolved slowly, carefully. They talked more now. Real conversations about more than just Maya's schedule or school updates. Olivia shared stories from her years abroad, some funny, some heartbreaking, all giving Emma glimpses of the person Olivia had become. And Emma found herself opening up too, talking about her work, her ambitions, the loneliness she'd lived with for so long she'd stopped noticing it. But they hadn't discussed the future, hadn't talked about what they were becoming to each other. They existed in a comfortable present tense, neither past nor future, just the steady accumulation of shared moments. Emma Hayes? She turned to find a woman in her 50s approaching, dressed in an elegant coat and carrying a portfolio. I'm Sarah Brennan from the Brooklyn Arts Council. I saw your presentation last month about the Morrison Museum. Brilliant work. Thank you. Are you involved with the project? Not yet, but I'd like to be. I'm curating an exhibit about modern architecture in New York, and I'd love to feature your work. Could we schedule a meeting to discuss details? Emma exchanged contact information, feeling a surge of professional pride. This project was her masterpiece, the culmination of years of skill and vision. It would stand long after she was gone, a testament to her ability to create something meaningful from raw materials and imagination. As she drove to Olivia's apartment that evening, Emma thought about legacy, about the things we build that outlast us. Buildings were one kind of legacy, but Maya was another, a child shaped by love and care who would carry forward the values instilled in her. And what about love itself? Could that be a legacy too? She arrived at the apartment to find chaos. Maya was in tears, Olivia looked exhausted and frustrated, and the living room was covered in crumpled papers and broken crayons. What happened? Emma asked, setting down the pizza she'd brought. School project, Olivia explained tiredly. Family tree assignment, due tomorrow. Maya's been trying to work on it all evening, but she's frustrated because her tree looks different from other kids. Maya sniffled from the couch, clutching a piece of poster board covered in attempted drawings. All the other kids have normal families, moms and dads and grandparents. I don't have any of that. I have Mama and Uncle Marcus and my birth parents who died, and it's all wrong. Emma's heart broke. She sat beside Maya, looking at the poster board. The child had attempted to draw a traditional family tree, but had clearly struggled with where to place everyone, how to represent loss and adoption, and unconventional family structures. "Can I show you something?" Emma asked softly. Maya nodded, wiping at her tears. Emma took a fresh piece of paper and a pencil. Family trees don't have to look like trees. Sometimes families are more like gardens. Different plants, different roots, but all growing together in the same soil. She began to draw, not a tree, but a garden. At the center, she drew Maya, a bright flower. Branching from her were different plants. Olivia, strong and steady like an oak. Marcus, protective like a hedgerow. Maya's birth parents, represented by 2 stars above the garden, because they're always watching over you, even though they can't be here. "What about Emma?" Maya asked quietly. "Where does Emma go in my garden?" Emma paused, her pencil hovering over the paper. She looked up at Olivia, who was watching with barely contained emotion. "Where do you want me to go?" Emma asked. "Next to Mama. Because you belong together, and because—" Maya's voice grew very small. "Because I want you to stay." The silence that followed felt monumental. Emma drew herself into the garden, a vine intertwined with Olivia's oak, their roots touching beneath the soil. It felt right. It felt true. "Now I have a family garden," Maya said, her tears giving way to wonder. "That's way better than a boring old tree." After Maya went to bed, proudly carrying her poster to her room, Emma and Olivia sat on the couch with glasses of wine, the apartment quiet except for the radiator's gentle hiss. "Thank you for that," Olivia said. "I've been trying to help her all evening, but I was too close to it, too caught up in my own feelings about unconventional families. She's lucky to have you, to have this life you've built for her." "Emma." Olivia set down her wine glass, turning to face her. "I need to tell you something. I've been putting it off because I didn't want to pressure you, but you deserve to know." Emma's heart rate increased. "Okay." "I've been offered a position, Chief of Emergency Medicine at Mount Sinai. It's a huge opportunity, a promotion I never thought I'd get, but it means long-term commitment to New York, to this hospital, to this life. And before I accept it, I need to understand what we're doing here. Because if this is just friendship, if that's all it can ever be, I need to know. I need to protect my heart too." Emma had known this conversation was coming, had been both dreading and craving it. She thought about the past 3 months, the careful reconstruction of trust, the slow accumulation of new memories, the way her chest ached when she was away from Olivia and Maya for too long. "I'm terrified," Emma admitted. "I'm terrified of loving you again and having you leave. I'm terrified of opening myself up to that kind of pain." "I know. I understand that fear because I caused it." Olivia's hand moved across the couch, not quite touching Emma's, but close. "But Emma, I'm terrified too. I'm terrified that I've destroyed any chance we had, that 10 years is too long, that the damage is too deep. I'm terrified that you'll never be able to forgive me. And I'll spend the rest of my life watching you from a distance, loving you, but never being able to have you. I do forgive you." The words came out before Emma fully realized she meant them. "I'm still angry sometimes. I still have moments where I want to yell at you for all the time we lost. But I also understand why you did it. Young, scared, trying to protect someone you loved. I get it now. I don't agree with it, but I get it. So where does that leave us?" Emma took Olivia's hand, feeling the warmth of her palm, the slight tremor that betrayed her nervousness. "It leaves us here, in your apartment on a Wednesday night, with your daughter asleep down the hall and my heart beating so hard I think you can probably hear it. It leaves us trying, building something new instead of trying to resurrect something dead. I love you." Olivia said it simply, without drama or expectation. "I've never stopped loving you, and I never will. That's my truth, Emma. Whether you can love me back or not, that's what I'm working with." Emma leaned forward, closing the distance between them, and kissed Olivia for the first time in 10 years. It was tentative at first, both of them relearning the geography of each other's lips, but then muscle memory took over, and it felt like coming home. Like finding something you'd lost and forgot you needed until it was back in your hands. When they pulled apart, both breathing hard, Emma rested her forehead against Olivia's. "I love you too," she whispered. "God help me. I never stopped either." Olivia laughed through tears, pulling Emma close, and they sat there on the couch for a long time, holding each other, breathing in sync, two people who'd lost years but found their way back nonetheless. "So what does this mean?" Olivia asked eventually. "For us?" "It means we take it slow. It means we figure this out together instead of making decisions for each other. It means—" Emma pulled back to look at Olivia seriously. "It means I want to be part of your life, both of your lives. Maya's too. But I need time to trust that you won't run again. That when things get hard, you'll stay and fight instead of disappearing. I'll stay. I promise you, Emma, I'll stay. No matter what comes, good or bad, easy or difficult, I'm not running anymore. Then take the job, accept the position at Mount Sinai, build your life here, and let me be part of it. You mean that?" "I mean it." They kissed again, deeper this time. Years of longing and loss and love pouring into the contact. When Maya called out from her bedroom, "Mama, Emma, can someone get me water?" they broke apart laughing, and Emma went to help, because that's what you did when you loved someone. You showed up. You stayed. You got water at bedtime and helped with homework and built family gardens instead of trees. Over the next few months, they fell into a rhythm. Emma's toothbrush appeared in Olivia's bathroom. Her clothes slowly migrated to Olivia's closet. On weekends, they took Maya to museums and parks, to Broadway shows and dim sum in Chinatown. They fought sometimes, about scheduling, about parenting decisions Emma wasn't sure she had the right to weigh in on, about the fear that still lived in both of them like a low-grade fever. But they didn't run. They stayed and worked through it, and came out stronger on the other side. In March, on a sunny afternoon that felt like spring's promise, Emma brought Olivia and Maya to the completed Morrison Museum. The building rose against the Brooklyn skyline, all glass and steel and elegant lines, a monument to the power of vision made real. "You built this?" Maya's eyes were wide with wonder. "The whole thing. I designed it. A lot of people built it. But yes, the vision was mine." They walked through the empty galleries. The museum wasn't open to the public yet, their footsteps echoing in the vast spaces. Emma explained load-bearing structures and natural light optimization, watching Olivia watch her, pride evident in her expression. "It's magnificent," Olivia said when they reached the top floor, where floor-to-ceiling windows offered panoramic views of the city. "You've created something that will outlast us all." "That's the idea." Emma pulled her close. Maya pressed between them, looking out at Brooklyn spread before them like a promise. "Buildings are my legacy. But this," she gestured to encompass Olivia and Maya, "this is my life." "Mama," Maya said suddenly, "can Emma live with us? Like, officially? Because she's there almost every day anyway, and it would be easier if she just moved in." Olivia laughed. "Subtle, sweetheart. Very subtle. I'm serious. Uncle Marcus says Emma still has her own apartment but barely goes there. That's wasteful. And Emma's a good cook. Way better than you, Mama, no offense." "None taken. She's absolutely right." Emma knelt down to Maya's level. "What do you think about that? About me officially moving in? Because I want to make sure you're comfortable with it. It's your home too. I want you there. I've wanted you there since I saw you at the station." Maya's expression turned serious. "I knew you were the one who was missing. Mama had all these pictures, and she talked about you all the time, and when I saw you, I just knew. You were the one who was supposed to be there." Emma felt tears prickling her eyes. How did a 7-year-old get so wise? "I'm almost 8 now. Birthday's next month. Can we have another surprise party?" They all laughed, and Emma stood, pulling Olivia into an embrace while Maya wrapped her arms around both their legs. So is that a yes? Olivia asked. You'll move in, officially, on one condition. Name it. We do this right. I meet your colleagues, your friends, everyone in your life. No more secrets, no more hidden parts. We're in this together, all in, or not at all. Deal. Though I should warn you, my hospital friends are nosy and will absolutely interrogate you about your intentions. My intentions are to love you and Maya for as long as you'll have me. They can interrogate that all they want. That evening, as they drove back to what would soon be their shared home, Maya fell asleep in the back seat. Olivia reached across the center console and took Emma's hand. Thank you, she said quietly. For what? For giving me another chance, for loving Maya, for being brave enough to let me back in. Thank you for coming back, for staying this time, for building a life I want to be part of. They drove through Brooklyn as the sun set, painting the city in shades of gold and purple. Emma thought about that day at Grand Central Terminal, about a little girl in a yellow raincoat who'd held her hand and whispered words that changed everything. About how sometimes the past reaches forward and reclaims us, how love persists despite time and distance and damage. She thought about family gardens and untraditional structures, and the courage it takes to rebuild after everything falls apart. And she thought about Olivia beside her, Maya sleeping peacefully in the back, and the home they were creating together, not the one they'd lost 10 years ago, but something new, something stronger, something built on truth and trust, and the determination to stay even when staying is hard. The Morrison Museum would stand for generations, a testament to Emma's architectural vision. But this small family driving through Brooklyn at sunset, hands clasped, hearts open, this was her real masterpiece. This was what endured. And as they pulled into the parking spot outside their apartment building, Maya stirring awake and asking sleepily if they were home yet, Emma realized that for the first time in 10 years, she had an answer. Yes, she said, looking at Olivia, at Maya, at the life spread before them like a blueprint finally made real. Yes, we're home. Thank you for taking this journey with Emma, Olivia, and Maya. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe to our channel for more heartfelt love stories. Share this with someone who believes in second chances and the power of love to heal even the deepest wounds. Remember, it's never too late to come home.